So in today's video, I'm going to talk about the jack points for the STI. I have the 2021 Subaru WRX STI limited edition, but this applies for both limited and regular STI, as well as all the years from 2015 to 2021. The jack points are pretty much the same. I'm not going to go over too much of the four jack points on the sides. So the pinch welds, one on the front here, and one on the sides. I'll quickly show you guys what that is, but mostly I'm going to focus on how do you bring up the top of the car in the front, and how do you bring up the back of the car from the center, so that you can actually put some jack stands like I have here. The tools I generally use is actually what you see here, what I'm going to show you right now. So these are the four tools that I use to bring up the car. The jack points I'll show you in a second, for the front and the rear on how to bring up the car. But first you'll need a sled of 4 chocks. And as you can see there, I have it kind of rested on the wheel. And this is how I set it up. If I'm working on the rear, which I'll show you in a second, I'm putting 2 chocks on the front side there, just to hold the wheel in place, just in case it falls out. And then what I also have are these floor jacks, or jack stands. As you can see, these are some 3-ton jack stands that has a pin. So this is an extra safety mechanism, but you could have ones without pins, and you could also have ones that just have a locking mechanism. I got this for extra safety. But these 3-ton jack stands, they rest on where the pinch welds are on the sides. And I usually have this holding up my car if I'm working on it for a few hours. You want to put this lever on the outside so you don't you're not underneath the car and you accidentally hit this little lever and it comes down on you for safety reasons. And so you're going to need a set of jack stands here. And then the bread and butter of bringing up your car. All you car guys probably already have these tools, but 3-ton floor jack or a 2-ton floor jack. I use the small one when I need to just kind of get underneath the car real quick and I just want to look underneath and don't want to spend too much time. But I really use this kind of heavy duty 3-ton extra long floor jack. It's a low profile one, so it goes as low as 2.5 inches, and it has this extra long pole here so I can get that reach when I need to get underneath the car, especially when I'm reaching for the front of the car jack point where I'm doing an oil change. It's all the way past that plastic, and I'll show you guys that video in a second. And then when I'm going in the rear side, I got to get to that rear differential to lift up the car. This thing right here is what I use to do that. So let's go ahead and I'll show you guys the front video, and then I'll jump to the back and show you guys how I bring that up. So we have the car on jack stands now. You can see that I have the car lifted out 6 inches to 1 foot high. It gives me enough room to get on bottom. I have it propped on jack stands, but I haven't actually put it down quite yet. And then over here, you can see I have these kind of wheel chocks. So it just stops the car from going backwards, just in case I'm underneath the car, because it's only being lifted up on one side. But I just wanted to show you guys where the jack point is, and that's the reason why I haven't fully decompressed it quite yet. So now that it's on jack stands, I wanted to show you guys where the center jack point is. Right where this jack stand is, you'll notice it's right from the center through. Right before the transmission, there's this whole kind of metal frame here, and you want to jack it up right there, right after that bolt, and right before this plastic there. So that's where you do it, and that just brings it right up. That way you can slide some jack stands underneath and you should be good to go, as you can see here. So I'm ready to just kind of let this jack stand go, and the rest of the car will just be kind of rested on jack stands. So I'm going to let it go by releasing the jack stand, and you're going to see it just rest on the stands themselves. As you can see, now it's fully placed on jack stands. I forgot to mention that I have another piece, an accessory on my heavy duty floor jack, which is this rubber piece that I put right where the jack point is, so that it's not metal to metal. And this just kind of keeps it from scratching the bottom of the chassis wherever I'm jacking up the car, but also just kind of like a little nice piece there. So that's what you need to get started, and let's go take a look at the rear. So we're in the rear, and the way we're going to lift up the car is from the rear differential. And so we got to get underneath the car on the bottom, and I'll point out kind of where that is. So from the underside of the car, we're going to go right underneath the bottom and look for that differential. So now that we're underneath the car and the car is not jacked up yet, we're going to find the rear differential, and it's going to be located right next to kind of the bottom of the exhaust, near the lower control arms. And so if you're coming from underneath the car, here's my Cusco lower control arm on Öhlins, and then we're moving down. You have this exhaust pipe here, and if you go past that pipe, you're going to see this, and that's the differential. And what we're going to do is just jack it up at the kind of black area there. So I'm going to move the floor jack right underneath so I can line it up with the differential. And we're just going to do a few pumps just to get it pretty close. We're going to line it up right there. I'm just going to put a little bit on the silver and most of it on the black part. It's on a rubber pad, so it's not going to really scratch anything. And we're going to lift up the car so that we can position jack stands near the pinch welds. All right, so the jack stand is pushed up against the differential and is lifting it up right now. And let me give you guys a different perspective. So we have the car being supported by the jack stand in the center. And at this point, we can get some jack stands and put it next to the side pinch welds. So we have a floor jack next to the side of the car of the rear tire. And as you can see there where those two notches are, that's where you're going to put the jack stands. And all you have to do is just kind of rest it on the side there and just put it on the other side and bring it down. The same as this side, we're going to look for those two notches and put a floor jack right in between. And that positions both jack stands on the side, and now we can release the low profile jack. So we're going to release the low profile jack from the rear differential. And as you can see that the two jack stands are resting on each side, and we have the lower profile jack away from the car. So let me get underneath. Now that it's safely to go perfectly underneath the car, I'm going to actually point out the differential to you guys. I kind of showed it to you guys on the side, but this might be a better view. So I'm coming from underneath the car where the exhaust pipes are, and this is pretty much the whole unit where you can rest your floor jack on. This is just this full metal part. I kind of put it on this main section here, sort of where the axles, the rear axles come out. And so this is just the area where you're going to focus on jacking up the car. And then from there, as you can see, I've already rested it on floor jack, so it's safe to go underneath. And so I was just doing all this on the side with the extra long floor jack that I have. So the main item you need to bring up your STI is a floor jack. I have a 3-ton floor jack here that has this extra long pipe, so you can actually get underneath the car and really place it underneath and actually not be underneath the car while you're actually pumping it up. So just to recap, we have two main jack points, one in the front where the subframe is at that center bolt. You have the rear jack point, which is bringing up the rear differential. And then you have just the two jack points on each side of the car where you're going to actually rest the jack stands on. And then the 4 tools that you need, the 4 tools that I have are chocks, jack stands, and this kind of heavy-duty floor jack. an accessory jack if you want one, but that'll let you kind of do what you need to bring up your car. Hopefully this video is helpful. Thanks for watching, and more car videos to come.